welcome. What's up, guys? So I record our class pretty much every day, and I'm going to drag this down a tiny bit, actually. There we go. So as we get through the year, you'll be able to go into Schoology and access this recording. So if you miss class, if you're absent, if you forget anything from class, if you fell asleep during class, whatever it is, that for some reason you want to go back and see class, or maybe your parents want to see class, or maybe a kid in Michigan needs to watch my class, or whoever, I post all this stuff on YouTube, but then it's easily accessible on Schoology. So it will be on Schoology. Get your homework written down in your plan book, please. It is over on the assignment board as well as right here. It says test, quote unquote, because when you look at Schoology, it's going to tell you that it's a test, but it's not actually a test. I just have to pick that so I can do the settings that I want inside of Schoology. So, first off, are there any questions from last night's homework? Any issues? Anything about accessing it? Any of that?
I don't know if I got in or not.
What do you mean?
Like, I clicked on it or something.
So, can anyone talk about the whole 5 questions thing? Like, so there were 5 questions, but what did you need to do to complete the assignments? Yeah.
No, I was just saying that you could put the homework back up because I didn't get it.
Oh, it's also on that board. You can just write 4.2, and SCH is the abbreviation for Schoology. But here, I'll drag this up to the TV so you can see the homework still. So, to get to it, are these questions or answers?
No answers.
Okay.
Well, the first one you have to get like 5 in a row, right?
Yeah, you're looking to get 5 right in a row. So if you know what you're doing, and you log in and you boom, 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 get 5 right in a row, you're done. But if you're goofing around and you're not paying attention and you're not thinking through your work and you make mistakes, you're going to do more problems. Yeah.
This work, I did this a long time ago, like the 5 in a row. Did I do that when we had the other homework and I did that?
Yeah. It's really good for your brain because if you've done something correctly 5 times in a row, then it knows that you know what you're doing. Now, I understand that some of these problems were things that you haven't seen. The square root symbol, that sort of stuff, that's new to you. I wanted to see how you would deal with using the help tools in there or what questions you would bring me for class. So, to review how you get to your homework, and Schoology looks a little different now. You go click on materials. Always you're going to click on materials to find stuff. Notice I moved the other folders to the bottom of the page. You can't see a bunch of these, but the welcome folder's at the bottom, the 6-word stories, because we'll do that later. All of that stuff's at the bottom of the page now. So when you log in, you can get to Unit B immediately. Then you can go straight to Chapter 4, because we know that if we're looking for 4.1 or 4.2, hey Dom, you with me? Thanks. You guys are chatting, so it makes me wonder. Okay, so can I help? Because if you have a question, other people probably have that question. So what's the question?
I didn't know we had Comcast. I thought that was too tomorrow.
It is. So you always have 2 days to do your homework. So it was assigned yesterday. You have yesterday and today to get it done. But it was assigned yesterday, so you should have it written down. You should not be saying, I didn't know we had.
Well, I
Because
did.
it was
I just didn't know it was due today.
It's not due today.
Okay.
Some people couldn't access it. Like, some people at home had some issues getting on it and whatever, so I'm reviewing how to get to it. So, you go to Chapter 4, and this is the same for tonight's homework, except instead of 4.1, what folder here do you think you'll click on tonight?
4.2.
Yeah! So, 4.1, if we go here, here's your practice work, and because they're links, you have to go into the folder and click on each of these twice to actually get to where you're going. So then that will take you to Khan Academy. If you are not logged in, make sure that you log in. You will not get any points if you're not logged in. And a bar should pop up at the top that says, hey, log in to get points for your work. So it should remind you. Make sure that you log in. If you're at school, you never need to type in your login info. You just hit the login with Google, because if you're logged into a school account, you are logged into Google. We are a Google district. Yeah.
What if you're at home?
Then you might have to log in just using your school Google info. So your username at wscloud.org and then your password. If you have any issues, call me. So tonight, a different type of assignment, still not digits, we're all good. In 4.2, your homework tonight, you click into the folder and it's right here. This little puzzle piece is what you're going to start to recognize as any Schoology assignment, like when we create an assignment in Schoology. So notice it says due Wednesday at midnight. So you have today to do it, and you have tomorrow to do it, because you should have your homework done before midnight. So if I click into this and I look at what it is, I can preview the assignment. So read these instructions. You have 3 attempts available to get an 80% or higher. If you get an 80% or higher on the first time, you're done. So take your time, do good work. If you make mistakes, figure out what mistakes you made before you try to restart the test. So I started an attempt here. I then have these questions. It's one big long page, and I scroll through and I answer my questions. Just like the who are you, at the bottom it's going to say review answers. So then I can review my answers, and it's going to say, hey, wait a minute, you didn't provide any answers for these questions, so I should not submit it. I should go back. If you are ready to be done, though, you need to submit it. Some of you still have yet to submit your who are you. I'm hoping that it's done. You just forgot to submit it. So please verify that you've submitted your who are you. I'm probably going to grab some of those people at AO or Extensions and check with them. So coming here, it's 13 questions. To get an 80%, you need to get at least 11. So it's just right. You never leave Schoology tonight. You never have to use Khan Academy, but you can. Notice that in the directions, I think it's in settings, it says you can definitely use Khan Academy or any other resources to help you. So let's say you're getting stuck, and I come back here to my materials page. The first folder here, the Help Me folder, that's got a ton of web links in here in the Start Here folder. It's got a ton of help websites. So you can use all these help websites as you're going through your work. Do we have any other questions about last night's homework, like how to get to it, or tonight's homework? So let's take questions from what we did on last night's homework. Here's our learning target, by the way, for today. We're going to perform addition with integers. So we'll do that here in just a little bit. So we had questions like this. Classify these numbers, rational versus irrational, because we said that's the first breakdown of number classifications. Now, who can help me answer this question for whether this is rational or irrational, and what's your reasoning? What's your rationale? See what I did there, Jaslyn?
It's irrational because you can see pi, and pi is one of the most famous irrational numbers.
If pi is involved at all, it's irrational. Now, the only time it could maybe turn out rational is if they did this. But still, since they're both irrational, that's really messy to think about. But if we go back to the mathematical rule of a number divided by itself, this would be 1. But all of the questions that you guys saw was like pi plus 1 or pi times 3 or something like that. If it's an operation done to pi, it is irrational. So then when we look at this question, square root of 32. Now square roots. This might be new to some of you, so I don't want to walk all over this chord. Please be aware of the chord in my classroom. Just watch out for it. Yeah, so what about square roots? What is square root really asking you to do?
It's basically if you take 32 something and make a square out of them, and you count the bottom on one side, what would that be? That's like the square.
So, square root, and we're going to talk more about this year. But if you took a square with an area of 32, the square root is asking you, what is the edge length? So what it's saying is there is something. How do I find the area of a square? You don't have a name tag, dude. Help me out. What's your name? Andrew. Dude, I stink at names. You gotta, at least for a week, you gotta have that name tag. Andrew, how do I find the area of a square?
Well, for 32, for me, if it's even, I can split it, the perimeter.
Ah, so you're thinking perimeter, so be careful. One thing I know about the square, though, the sides are all equal. Always to find area of any quadrilateral, really, and we get into some weird quadrilaterals, but of squares and rectangles, Acacia? Acadia, sorry. Acacia sits over there in the afternoon, it goofs me up.
Well, to find out if it is irrational or rational, is there a number that you can multiply by itself to make 32?
That's what it's asking. So to find the area, we would take the length times the width, and that would have to equal 32. So we're looking for a number times itself that equals 32. So guys, just start guess checking. What's 5 times 5? What's 6 times 6? So wait, 5 didn't work? It was too low. 6 didn't work. It was too high. So is there an integer that would times by itself and make 32? No. So this is irrational. Now, on the contrary, if we have square root problems, sorry, this one just a negative decimal value. You can tell me what that is? Ooh, but it's got decimals. So it's not the entire value. This would just be rational. 2 times pi? Irrational because it involves pi. So, negative being out front here, I'm going to write this a little bigger. They have negative, the square root symbol of 16. And guys, these are some of the things that you might jot down in your math notebook as we're reviewing homework from the night before, because I know some of you haven't done this homework yet. So that would be math notebook stuff. For tonight, also, when you're doing the assignment on Schoology, that's when your math notebook, you should be writing your work in your math notebook. So, we're looking for a number times itself that makes 16. Can anyone think of that? Sean? 4. So the square root of 16 is 4, but this negative still exists. So what I really have is negative 4. So Sean, it's a
Integer and rational.
it's integer and it's rational. Yeah.
I read that that if the integers are only positive.
All positive. So you could check back to your notes from yesterday, and we wrote all, and then in parentheses had positive or negative numbers, or entire values is what we said, because integer, entire value. It doesn't matter if it's positive. You might be thinking of whole numbers have to be positive because we're thinking how many whole pizzas can I order. Then we went on, and radical 40. So again, 5 times 5, 25. 6 times 6, 36. 7 times 7, 49. We skipped right past it, which makes that irrational. Because there's no integer that squares by itself or multiplies by itself to make 40, it's irrational. Negative 2,343. Yeah. It's an entire quantity, and it's rational. So, any other questions from last night's homework? From the people that came and talked to me at Extensions, that's what it seemed like we needed to review. Yeah.
Okay, this is about the spiral notebook. When we do our homework, we have to write everything.
If there's not work to show, don't worry about it. But like tonight, you're going to be doing some sums and different things like that, and we're going to get work that's harder and harder and needs work shown out. So as we get into the year, you'll be using your math notebook more and more. Does that make sense? So right now, you might not use it much, but have it open, have it ready in case you write anything down. Julie?
Can we write anything in it that we think that we should show?
Anything for math, yeah. Yeah. So I'm going to collect that when we take tests, and I just want to look at your thinking. Like when you're doing practice work, what work are you writing down? So anything that you write down, don't put that on scrap paper that you throw away or like on the back of something that you're going to lose. Keep it in that math notebook so I can see your thinking. Make sense? Get out yesterday's notes. Or did we finish yesterday's notes in here? Okay, you were the only class that got done. So today's notes. By the way, do I have anyone that is interested in being my notes passer outer? I mean, and this can change day to day, but sweet. So I have. Normally your papers will be right here, but right now we're still the same as Math 7, so right now they're right here. So you can always look. And our extra papers, let's say you're absent a day, so I have these extra 4.1s that I had printed. They will be right here standing vertically in some bright colored folder. And then every week I'll clear that out. So, if you would like to pass those, you can just hit the first person in every row and have them pass them back. So today we start getting into adding integer and rational values. And the trick with integers is that we have positive values and negative values. And this is where our talk about absolute value comes in. So who can remind me what absolute value is? Andrew?
The distance from 0.
The distance from 0. And when we talk about absolute value, this is kind of like the power of the number. Like how strong is it? Thank you very much. So the further away from 0 it is, the stronger it is. So if we look at the first thing that we see in our notes here, and we have positive 3 plus positive 5, which we don't even have to say positive. Yeah? Huh? You're eating on the back row. It's alright, it's your first day. You're getting used to your job. I'm going to have to dock your pay. Sorry. 50%. You're going to make half of nothing. So, if I think about 3 plus 5, why is it that I don't... Oh, actually, I wanted to show you guys something first, too. And I'm still trying to figure out budgeting time and all that stuff with how long we take in class. So hopefully we're able to run through our notes a little bit faster once we watch this. But I got a little video to show you guys. I think so. It's from PBS Math Club, which I've got other videos of theirs on my website. But if we go to 4.2, not the song. You guys can watch that on your own if you want. So this math rap if you want, but that's of adding sign numbers. We're just going to talk really quick about integers.
If you're like us, this has probably happened to you. There you are, sitting in your room, avoiding homework, scrolling through YouTube.
Also, and nobody really sits very close to here, but Flynn, I may occasionally ask you to turn this on. It's this big button if I ever ask him to turn on the sound, just because I have my room all wired up. You guys ever get in arguments about what YouTube video to watch?
Yes.
Your parents say something like,
Grace, 5 more minutes and you and your math friends gotta do your homework. What's on that internet? That's why those videos are gonna rush.
That internet.
Housewives is on. Okay, so now we only have time to watch one more.
Yeah, but he's
No, here's the fourth one. He really points at stuff.
relax! Integers are going to help us decide which video to watch next.
That's right. If you're a regular YouTube viewer like us, you'd be using integers to make shrewd viewing decisions.
Where are the integers? Well, underneath the play count, there's 2 numbers. There's positive votes, then there's the negative votes on the other side. Those positive and negative votes are positive and negative integers. YouTube just didn't put the positive and negative signs next to the numbers. Yep, that's what integers are. Whole numbers, like 1, 2, or 38,000 we saw. The negatives of whole numbers, like -1, -2, -20, which we saw earlier. And then there's 0.
Integers are not fractions, decimals, or percents. So numbers like 1/6 or -200% or -1000 don't qualify.
Just makes things a lot easier.
So you guys see why I kind of like the presentation of their
Remember that one
videos?
time when you
Things
went
that
to
kind of
the
pop
mall
up and
with
it's
Shauna and
quick.
you didn't have any money, so she lent you $50 and you bought this really cute denim jacket?
But owing your friend $50, that's a negative number. One that I promise to pay back very shortly. Shauna? Now that we have talked about integers, let's see how we write them down on a number line. Positive numbers go to the right of 0. You can write them with or without the positive sign. They mean the same thing. 3 is the same thing as positive. Just don't call it +3, because math teachers don't like it. It's an operation.
Negative numbers go to the left of 0. And yes, that is a negative sign, not a minus sign.
Not a
Seeing
minus.
integers on a number line helps to understand the value of one integer compared to another. As we move to the right on the number line, numbers increase in value. For instance, -5 has a greater value than -16.
But if you move left on the number line, numbers decrease in value. After all, would you rather watch a video with 20 thumbs down or one with just 2 thumbs down?
Are you talking about my...
So when we're talking about power of numbers, when
Okay, now
so
that
if you
we've
were to
talked
look at, and you guys can finish this later because they're just going into what makes positives and negatives different and those sorts of things. But if you were to be comparing videos of one video to watch, well, which would you watch? One with 2 negative votes or one with 20 negative votes? The 2 negative, right? Because the 20 negative is more powerful. It's got more weight to it. There's more people that have said that, like, I don't like that. So when we think about adding or summing signed numbers, some with positives, some with negatives, we first have to determine what's going to be the sign of our answer based off like the power of these numbers. So if we had 3 plus 5, well, that's easy. We've been doing addition like that for a long time. But if we had 3 plus negative 5, which is more powerful, the 3 or the negative 5? Jeremiah? The negative 5, right? So I immediately know that that answer is going to turn negative. So the first thing we think is our answer's negative. Then, because they have different signs, we find the difference. And that might be something worth writing down. If we are summing different signs, so you could even just write diff signs, we find the difference. So the difference between 5 and 3 is 2, and my answer becomes negative 2. Now we can also plot this out on the number line and see why it works. So what we're being asked here first in this example is what are we being told to do? So in this addition statement, where it says 2 plus negative 8. Now, why does anyone know why those parentheses are there? Ellie.
Yeah, because the negative sign looks a lot like the minus.
Ooh. So why do we use those parentheses?
So that it'll differentiate negative and minus.
That's like a $10 word right there. We need to differentiate between seeing a negative and seeing a minus. So that is a negative, and that's why they put it inside of those parentheses. Now, it is not required to have the parentheses around it. It's just nicer. So, how many units am I going to move from my 2? How many units am I going to move from my 2? 8, right? Because it says start at 2 and go 8 units. What direction? Yeah, in the negative direction, which is the left, but we want to think about it as the negative direction. So then, what would our answer be? Which was stronger, the positive or the negative? The negative, right? 8 has more strength than 2 does. So we know that my answer is going to be negative, and then what's the difference between them? Yeah, 6, so my answer becomes negative 6. So, answer that got it. Go ahead and fill in those blanks on your own. So, negative 5 plus negative 6. Notice this first negative 5 doesn't have parentheses because I know that this is not subtraction. Because what would it be subtracted from?
Nothing.
The word it? Like nothing. When it starts the problem, it doesn't need the parentheses around it because we know it's negative. So how many units am I going to move from negative 5? What do you mean? 6, right? What direction, Evie?
Negative.
In the negative direction. Now, be careful. If I started at negative 5 and I moved 6 further in the negative direction, where do I end up? Negative 11. Come on, get up. There we go. So, with same signs, you keep the sign, sum the values. So, if you want an easy way to remember that, think of the S with same signs. The sign stays and you sum your numbers. With the same signs, your sign stays, sum your values. So you might want to write that down. Sorry, I need to capture this. I like to relate words with each other. So those S's really help me in figuring that out. So out here, we have different signs, and then we show the algebra. We use variables to show the algebra. What is this showing? We have 5 and negative 5, or A and negative A.
So it can be any number. It doesn't have to be 5.
Ah, yeah, so these variables are saying this could be any number, but so like 5 and negative 5, or I could plug in 12 and negative 12, or 18 and negative 18. What happens when you add a number and its opposite number? Jeremiah, right? Yeah, Jeremiah. They cancel each other out and they sum to 0. I would put a star or a highlight or something. The sum of a number and its additive inverse. This is a vocab word. And it's right here too, right above it. So, the sum of a number and its opposite is 0, but that opposite value is called the additive inverse. So, that opposite value is the additive inverse. When you pair it up, they're additive inverses. 5 and negative 5 are additive inverses of each other. Now, if you wanted multiplicative or multiplicative inverses, that would be totally different. Because then you would multiply to make 1, not 0. So we'll get there later in the year. Additive inverses have to sum to 0. So right here where I have same sign, keep the sign, and combine the values, you could write out here same sign, sum. Like, because really the way to remember it, you could circle or highlight these S's. The same signs to start with, the sign stays on the sum. Those S's, the sign stays on the sum. For different values, you then have to find the difference. So for right here, I would highlight, and I'm going to have to zoom out to do this. I would highlight difference and different. Different signs, we end up having to find the difference. And we again have to determine the sign first by which one has more power, that absolute value. So let's say we're playing a game. I am a giant game geek. And we've got a group of us. We've got Asa, Dan, Joy, and Kim. Actually, almost all of those names we've had here in the past few years. And in each turn, you can gain points, or you can lose points. So I want you, either by yourself or with a partner, take a minute, maybe a minute and a half, figure out what each of their total scores are. They started with nothing. The first round, they either gained or lost points, and then the second round, they either gained or lost points. Find out what their total score is at the end of the game. You may work with a partner if they are close by you, which is also why I'm saying you can sit in a... We have not made the seating chart yet. Yeah, you can have it. Well, if you think you're always going to be here, then I can just write you here in the seating chart. But otherwise, I can give you a seat and just have them face right there. But the angle that it comes out with probably hits me. Go about 30 more seconds. Last year I could do that. I'm waiting for you guys. Alright. Anyone want to help me with ASA? You got to be able to explain how you got your answer. I never just want an answer. I want to know how you got it. Dom, what do you think?
Well, so she starts with -10, and then she got...
Ooh, wait. Starts with what?
Or -12.
Ah, there it is.
Starts with -12, and then she rolls +5, and on a number line, -12 would be to the left, but you would have to move right because the +5, which would give you -7.
Ah, so first thing we can identify. I like your process. You did number line method, but as we go through it, we don't necessarily want to just think about number line. So I love the visual. Guys, if you ever need visual number line, I have the vertical number line right here. So what Dom said was we started at -12. But when I gain 5 points, I have to go in the positive direction. So I go up +5 and I land at -7. The other thing we could do is say which is stronger, the negative or the positive. The negative is stronger. Then what's the difference between 12 and 5? It's 7. And Dom got -7. Very good, man. What about for Dan? He's got Dan's points. Andrew, what do you think?
Well, so they are both, the numbers got negative, so that means we can sum them together because they're the same, and then you have to add them both. Well, add either. Never mind. So, and then we get -24.
Yeah, so what you were saying was right. It's a little hard to get out, right? So what Andrew was trying to verbalize is we think about the sign, and he said, well, they're both negative. My answer is going to be negative. And then ignore the signs and just add 15 and 9, which gets me 24. So then with that negative sign, I have 24, so -24. What about for Joy? Gotta find Joy's points. Yeah, Mom, so what do you think?
Okay, so it started out with 13, so then from 21 you take 13, which cancel out to 39, you have 0, and the remaining 21, the -21, which is -8.
So you broke the 21. So essentially, here's what Monica did. She took the negative and said, well, really, I can cancel out the -13 first, and then how much negative do I still have from that 21? Well, I have 8 more. So these 13 and -13 cancel each other out, and then I get -8. You're actually one step ahead of me because that's the method we're going to use right here. So I don't know if you solved the integer chips and thought about the canceling out, but that's a really good method. What do you think, Jeremiah? Do you have Kim's score for me?
Yeah, it's 9 because the 25 is bigger than the 16, so 25 cancels out the negative and makes it 9.
Yeah, so, and I can even look at this. I could say -16 plus 25, or I could say 25 plus -16. And actually, if I say 25 plus -16, and guys, if I was you, I would write this in your notes somewhere. If I say 25 plus -16, I can, instead of plus a negative, anyone know what I'm going to do? Just make it subtraction. Because if you add a negative value, you're essentially just taking away. So this is really 25 minus 16. You said we got 9, right? Kim's score.
Exactly what I did last time.
Yeah, perfect.
For number 8, I did that.
Good job, man. Anytime we see one positive, one negative, we can switch around the addition. Anyone remember what rule it is that lets me change the order of addition? Why I was able to go from -16 plus 25 and turn this around? Honestly,
Commutative?
the what?
The commutative?
Yeah, the commutatives. Because to commute means to move. You commute to school. You commute home. You commute between classes. So the commutative property lets me change the order of my addition. Wonderful, guys. Good job. So in this got it actually uses the method that we just talked about, canceling values out. So anytime I have positive values and negative values, if I can equal them out, they can cancel. So this is when it'd be really convenient if you have highlighters or colored pencils. I'm going to circle 4 of these positive chips and cancel them out by using what? 4 of the negative chips. Thank you, Julian. So I can circle 4 of the negatives, and these have canceled each other out because the positives and the negatives cancel each other out. Then I'm going to change color. This is why I said to get out some colors. And I'm going to show that these 4 positives and these 4 negatives will cancel out. And then these 4 positives and these 4 negatives would cancel out. What am I left with when I get done with all my canceling? Jeremiah, because he threw something that was funny.
8.
Excuse me, 8. I just have 8, but are you sure about that?
Negative
8.
I'm sorry.
And guys, if you want to write this out, this started as 12 plus a negative How many were here? Well, 4 times 5 is 20. Then we can split that negative, and we can say, well, there's really negative 12, so that I can cancel them. And there's another negative 8 if I break up my groups of negatives. Then I can see that these will cancel with each other and leave me with only negative 8. Any questions on that process? Pairing up inverses in order to cancel. Any questions? Sweet. So now we get into some equation work. What is like the most important rule of equations? I just want to see if like what we know coming into the U. Dom.
I can't think of what I can't think of the name exactly. Oh yeah, order of operations.
So there is order of operations. That's important all the time, not just for equations. I like it though. That's really important. What though? Maybe we can figure this out as we go. I think it'll happen. Somebody might remember it. So they tell us here, rewrite negative 5.5 as negative 3.5 and negative 2. Why am I doing this? Why would I break up a number? So they're saying take this number and break it up into this. They're saying take negative 5.5, break it apart. Why are we doing that?
Oh.
Andrew?
Because we're canceling out because there's a positive 3.5 and we're trying to get the 3.5 to cancel out.
We, I love it, are looking to cancel out. So because I started with a positive 3.5, to cancel it out, I need a negative 3.5. So that is why I break my negative 5.5. Because I know it has 3.5 in it. It's bigger than 3.5. So I break it, and these now cancel each other. So then I do what's called regrouping. Right here I regroup. Notice how my brackets change. That is just called the associative property. I can associate things together. Right now, these are associated together. Then when I move down to the next step, these become associated together. So I change what's associated together. I'm allowed to do that because this is addition. So then these cancel each other, turning into 0. I would highlight if I was you. And then we end up with just negative 2 left over. Any questions on using additive inverses to cancel things out? Am I?
I am really confused about like everything you just did.
Okay, so I'll make one easier. How about that? Let's say that we had, we'll start with a positive, say 10 plus negative 13. We're saying, what's this equal? And I'm only going to work vertically. They first worked right, then they worked vertically. I'm only going to work vertically. So, which is bigger, the positive or the negative? The negative. It's got more power, right? So I know that this negative being bigger will totally wipe out the 10, right? It's going to get rid of all the positives. So I can split the negative value into how much does it need to wipe out the 10, and then how much is left over. So I can then say, well, really, to wipe out the 10, how many negative does it need? 10 negatives, right? So I first grab 10 negatives out of the 13. But then, how many negatives do I still have? 3 more. So then I regroup, and I want to group these together. So honestly, I could just add in some brackets, because brackets are the next grouping symbol beyond parentheses. Because now, what's 10 plus negative 10? 0. So what's inside the brackets becomes 0. And I get 0, and the only thing left over is the negative 3. So I know that negative 3 is my answer. So it's really trying to teach you a thought process of think about breaking up this number, getting rid of the 10 that it takes to cancel, how many are left over, is really the thought process it's trying to encourage. Does that make more sense now? Cool. Thank you for asking. I appreciate that. You guys gotta ask questions. The smartest people in this class will be the people that ask the most questions. And like, those are also the people that you might like, let's move on. But it will help you understand it better. Even if you think like, oh, I've got this, still pay attention, still listen to those solutions. It will help you solidify and master that content. So try this on your own. We've got a positive 3/5 and a negative 1/5. Which has more power? 3/5 or 1/5? 3/5, right? So the one with more power is what gets broken up. So this 3/5 is going to get broken up right in those parentheses. Try that on your own. Break it up so that you cancel out. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, you can go ahead. Yeah, because if you get done with something we're doing, you can work ahead. Oh, you gotta write the process. Especially since you have plenty of time to do so. Alright, I am quickly running out of time, so let's review this really quick. Who can tell me what I need to break 3/5 up into? Awesome.
Can I do the whole process?
Yeah, do it.
Okay, 3/5 is 2/5 and 1/5. Then you can say 2/5, 1/5, negative 1/5, then 2/5 and 0. So those cancel each other out, and then 2/5.
Any questions for that solution? We break it into 2/5 and 1/5 so that that 1/5 can cancel the negative 1/5. Then they group together and cancel, and then we get left with just the 2/5. Any questions? These at the bottom, again, are just like the what to remember as you do your practice work. So remember, your practice work is just on Schoology tonight. Have a great day. Come see me if you have any issues at all. Thank you very much, guys. This video will be uploaded by the end of the school day. Can't guarantee that I can get it up any sooner than that.